It's not gonna happen, is it? You're just being a bitch right now. Okay. That sucked. I needed to sneeze, I'm sorry. Hi guys and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Emma. I created an original tag called Gaslight Gatekeep Girlboss book tag. It's something that I've been kind of working on for a little bit, trying to figure out like what questions would be good for it and other things like that, I guess. If you haven't heard of Gaslight Gatekeep Girlboss, it's kind of like a replacement of Live, Laugh, Love, except with all sort of negative things. I'll have some information on it down below if you want to check that out. But this is an original tag, and so if you want to do this as well, I'll have all the questions in the description so that they're written for you. Let me know if you make your own video, I'd love to watch it, and yeah, so I tag anyone that wants to do this. So, first off is a book that someone has or would try to mansplain to you. For this one, I have the picture of Dorian Gray. This is a classic, so we already have like one reason right there. They love to mansplain classics. There's also a relationship in here that I could totally see a lot of guys trying to mansplain it as like, yeah, they're bros kind of thing, and it's like, shut up. Anyways, the picture of Dorian Gray follows Dorian Gray, and he gets a portrait painted of himself that starts to take on all of the characteristics that he should be. So it's getting wrinkles and moles and like just kind of turning grotesque looking with all of the corruption that Dorian is kind of involving himself in, and also just age, but Dorian himself always stays young. I haven't personally had anyone mansplain this to me, but I could just see it happening. Next is a book that's premise or synopsis does not match its cover. So for this, I'm gonna go with Bunny by Mona Awad. This follows Samantha Mackey, and she is in like a creative writing English program sort of thing, and there's 4 other girls in there, but they're kind of like cultish. They're very cliquey, and they all call each other Bunny for some reason. And so Samantha's always kind of like pushed them away and been like, ugh, you know, I hate them, but secretively kind of looked up to them or like admired them from afar. And finally she gets sort of invited into their group, and she starts to learn like the deeper, darker, scarier things that are happening within this friend group. And this book itself is just like a trip. It's like acid and mushrooms and whatever, just, it's weird as hell, but it's so good. But all of that doesn't really match the cover. It's not something where like you see it and immediately you're like, ah yeah, that's a horror, thriller, psychological mindfuck book. Next up is a book that feels like a little bit queer-baity. Every Shakespeare play, like ever, I've read like 5 of them. But still, they just are. They are. The Girls by Emma Cline. Another book that has like a really chill cover and is like a thriller, you know? It's weird. This one is also about cults, or a cult. So this follows Evie Boyd, and she's kind of enlisted in a cult sort of thing, but she's also mesmerized by this one girl, and like it's confusing because part of her thoughts are like, I want to be this girl, but it seems like there's a different sort of attraction there. And it's been a long time since I've read it. It's been over a year and I don't have a good memory, so maybe something happened, but from what I remember, I just remember feeling kind of like nothing happened, or it didn't go the way that I wanted to, or something like that. It may have been acknowledged and then just didn't happen. I don't remember. So if this isn't actually queer-baity, I'm sorry. I was looking around on my shelves and I was actually having trouble finding some. So I guess that's a good thing. Next up is a book with an absolute girl boss. Just 100% girl boss energy. And this can be a positive or a negative thing. Either way works. For this one, I chose Slow Days, Fast Company by Babitz. She's so cool. Like when I was reading this, I was just like the language, cool. Her, cool. Everything around, cool. It's She's so cool. It was one of those things of just like, man, I want to live in the 70s now. Like, not really, you know? Like, when you think about it, you're like, eh. But like, damn, the vibes, man. So this is Eve Babitz, kind of, the easiest way to describe them, I think, would be like essays or short stories, almost like excerpts from her life. And it's so interesting. She's just writing about it, and it's so good. And she's just like, she's a badass bitch, and I love it. And her energy is so cool. The only thing is, like, now she's kind of like changed her views a lot. She's like a lot more conservative, I think a Trump supporter. I'm not entirely sure on all of that, but it's kind of weird because what's written in these books is so not aligned with any of that. Like, it's such a different point of view. Like, I want to know what changed. Next up is a book that made you feel like an absolute girl boss for completing. For me, it's All the Light We Cannot See. I'm sorry, it doesn't have a dust jacket. But All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This book, it's not even that long, really. Oh, it's kind of long. It's 530 pages. So it's kind of long. I had started this multiple times, and this is a book about World War II. It follows two different point of views. Warner and I don't remember their names, but it follows two different point of views, and it's sad, and it's deep. It's about World War II. I finally finished it earlier this year, and like the amount of like relief and satisfaction I felt was awesome. It felt so good. Next up is a book or author that you will never be pressured into reading. For me, it's Bukowski. Charles, I think that's his first name, Bukowski. Just, I've never been interested in any of his work, and I had some guy try to mansplain one of his books to me, and like, to be fair, I didn't know what the book was about, but just the way he was explaining it, I was like, this is condescending as hell, and I never want to read Bukowski because of you. Also, recently saw a video on Carly's channel, Uncarly. Basically, Bukowski's poetry, I think? I hope it was Bukowski. I don't remember. Basically, like, some of Bukowski's poetry is just, like, super misogynistic. And I'm like, there you go. Perfectly explained. Next up is a book with a toxic relationship or one you hated. If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. Mild spoilers, I'll put a timestamp. Meredith and Oliver, I don't like their relationship. Like, it's kind of confusing, their relationship, but I don't like it. I never did like it. I had some other people in mind. And so yeah, that was just like one relationship that I was like, nah. But overall, really enjoyed the book. So I highly recommend it because it's not like that relationship takes up the entire book, and it's not like, I don't know, it's not overpowering the book. The book itself is just really good. So basically this book is about like a bunch of lit nerds, but like specifically Shakespeare, and I guess more like theater nerds. But it's also like, it's like the theater aspect and also just memorizing like entire plays of Shakespeare, and it's like, wow, I really could never do that. But there's kind of a mystery because early on you learn through a police interview that someone dies, and you're kind of trying to piece that together throughout. So you're going back in time, but also intermittently there's like a conversation with a policeman too. So it's interesting. I highly recommend it. Next up is a book that restores your faith in humanity after everything that's happened. For this one, I chose Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. A lot of the characters at the beginning of this novel are annoying as hell. I did not like most, if not all of them. I think I liked Zara from the beginning because she accepted that she was kind of a bitch. But like, I could not handle most of the characters. Throughout the story and by the end of the book, you're like, I tolerate you, if not love you, you know? And it's kind of nice to see, like, once you get a little bit deeper into someone's life, it might be easier to understand them and to get along with them. It's so hard to explain this book because, like, it's about a bank robbery-ish, but it's also about people that are all idiots. And yeah, I mean, I love them, but they're idiots. And I think the narrator, like, explicitly calls them idiots. Like, all of them idiots. Multiple times. So I don't feel bad doing that. But yeah, definitely, like, restored my faith in humanity a little bit. I felt really good about this particular group of people. Let's just say that's humanity. Next up is a book with actually good feminism in it. Yeah. This one, I feel like it's kind of a cop-out because it's a feminist book, but that is Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies. This is by all of these authors right here. I originally listened to this, but then I enjoyed it so much that I ended up getting the hard copy, and I have yet to reread it. I think there was one where she was talking about her son and trying to raise him to respect women, and another one was talking about, like, her birth or giving birth or something. I don't know, you can see there's kind of like big quotes sometimes, or lists, or other things. I think some of them are poetry or history, anything like that. Another nice thing about it is that it's also not just like white feminism. There's a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds on here. Yeah, I just think it's a nice feminism book if you want to look into it. Just kind of seeing everyone's separate point of view on it. The last prompt is a book that demonstrates an actually healthy relationship. This doesn't strictly have to be a romantic relationship, and in the book that I've chosen, it's definitely a lot more about friendships, but it's also about a healthy relationship with yourself and with your sexuality, and there are other side characters that have their own relationships romantically. But for this, I chose Loveless by Alice Oseman. In this one, we follow Georgia, who's recently graduated from high school. I don't remember what the British equivalent of that is. 12th year, and she's going into college, and she's sort of starting to realize that she's never liked anybody, and she's trying to come to terms with the fact that she's aromantic and asexual, and she's having a hard time dealing with that because she's always watched like these rom-coms and waited for that big moment to happen to her until she realized that she didn't really want that. So it's her growing through friendships and realizing what she does need and does not need in her life. And overall, it's just a really healthy growth that you see in her. So that was the Gaslight Gatekeep Girlboss book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and if you did, please give it a like and let me know if you're gonna make your own video of this. I'd love to see it. Or if you have like a blog. I know a lot of people do book tags on blogs too, so yeah, definitely let me know if you're interested in doing this at all. I'd love to watch it or read it or anything. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you later. Bye.